Hey everybody, and welcome back to Blender. In this video we're going to look at the shader editor. Before we get started, what we have here is, as you can see, the same scene that we left off with last time. If I turn back on our glass bottle, you can see that there it is. I've actually decreased the alpha of the bottle ever so slightly, just so that we can actually see through it. Because it's a double-sided object, the transparency maybe is not always going to be there, but you can adjust that to your liking. Let's see, I think that looks a little bit better where the cork is visible, but it's not super in your face kind of thing. But as you can see, there we are. That's our scene from the last video. We're going to just turn off the visibility of the bottle again, and then we are back where we started at the start of the video. And what we're going to do is go into our shading tab like so, and we click on that, and what you can see now is we have our shader editor. We've got our object there, we can select that, and then what you'll notice about these items here is that they are very similar to all of the items that were on the right hand side. If we were to expand some of these, you can see that a lot of that information that we were originally playing with over on the right hand side is now contained in this section here, which is fantastic. One of the beauties of using the shader editor is that we can actually move ourselves around slightly, and if while I've got that selected I can press Shift A and that will allow me to add, and then if I were to choose an output or an input, let's go with an input, and I'm going to I'm going to search in here, let's just search for Voronoi texture, hit enter, move it around to where you want it to be, and then hit enter again, and then it will stay where it is. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to hit Shift A, and I'm going to search for bump, like so. I'm going to spell bump correctly, hit enter, move it to where I want to, and I'm going to hit enter again. Now what I want to do is I'm actually going to move these down a bit further towards the bottom, like so, and I can move this up, no problem at all. And what we've got here is, as you can see, our material preview mode in here. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go from distance, and I'm going to go to height, and then I'm going to go from normal here to normal. Give it a moment to have a think. And what you can see there is it's altering our material. So let's say I want to change and go from color to height. Let's see what happens there. And that creates an interesting texture to our cork. Now obviously that is way too much. We can actually reduce or increase the amount that changes, and more importantly, if we zoom right in to here, move along, we can actually change the scale, so we can reduce the scale significantly, or we can increase it to give ourselves something slightly more realistic looking. Now it's starting to look a little bit more like cork. We can decrease the randomness or increase it. We're going to go a little bit further with our scale. And now what you can see is that is actually not a bad looking cork texture. It may be the distance is a little too high, it's giving us a little bit too much, so we can actually reduce that to make it look a bit more like a cork texture there. And the beauty is that you can see it's adjusting that material, which is also applied to our cork at the top there. And that's a really nifty little trick. Another cool thing that we can do is, if I just zoom out slightly there, using the middle mouse button I can scroll up to the top. I'm going to go Shift A again, and this time I'm going to look for, nope, that's not what I meant to do, press escape. Let's try that again. I'm going to say on search, I'm going to say noise texture, select that, get our enter there, and then I'm going to also add search color ramp, like that, and I'm going to pop that there. And now what I can do is I can actually connect factor down to the factor there, like so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and click our color into this window like so, and then I can adjust this if I need to by moving color into base color. It's going to have a little bit of a think, and then you can see it's given us kind of a weird pattern there, but that's because the secondary color is way too bright. So if we actually select that color, we can actually drag this around and find the colour that we're interested in. Now for me, I think it needs to be very similar to the original colour. We don't want to see too much difference. So we've got our two colours there. It looks a bit muted, so if we want to, we can just brighten that up a bit more. Just select that, add a bit more there. Come more, I want to come more into the kind of red-orange spectrum. And just bring that colour either up or down. And it just gives us a very, very subtle difference. You can go as extreme you want. I mean, you can go to bright blue if you wanted to. You know, that would certainly be different. You just got to find a match that you're happy with. Again, check out in brightness, moving around until you've got a pattern that makes sense to you. And that gives us a bit more variation in our material. Other things that we can play with, of course, is we can bring these 2 points closer together to make the patches more defined. We can thin out that, looking at that, so you can see a little bit more difference there. It's a little bit more evident. We can play with the scale, so we can actually increase or decrease that if we want to give our cork a more natural speckled kind of look, which pretty much works for me, I think. We can come in like that. We can also play around with the detail. We can make it more or less blurry. Again, cork is a very interesting substance. It is kind of one colour, but it's not. So what we can actually do is, I think this looks a bit weird. I think you need to add a little bit more brownishness there. Select that colour, and I think we can actually go a little bit darker, like so. Now it's starting to look a lot more like realistic cork, isn't it? So now that we've got that texture looking pretty funky, if we were to come back into our layout mode, and we can turn back on our bottle, starting to look pretty good, if you ask me. Even if I do say so myself. Thanks very much for watching this, guys. I hope you found that entertaining. We will obviously go further in the next video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, guys. Bye bye.